Good afternoon, everybody, and you're really welcome to our penultimate session of the DQIT Virtual Career Series, Business and Finance. We are absolutely delighted to welcome Enterprise and Graham D. Butler, who is Recruitment and Marketing. It says Scotland, Graham, but I think in your UK and Ireland at this stage, and also Colin Patton, who's Remarketing Sales Executive. Enterprise is a name that does not need any introduction to DQIT students. I'm sure many of our students have gone on to our graduate program, or your graduate program. We'd also like to wish, from a DQIT perspective, Graham a very happy birthday. It's his birthday today, so I think this is the first time it's happened that we've had a participant whose birthday it was. We won't sing happy birthday to you, Graham, but just a massive happy birthday and congratulations on moving into your new house as well. So without further ado, you guys can crack on with the presentations. I'll manage the questions here on the right hand side, yeah, we're really looking forward to your presentation.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on my birthday. Obviously, there are many highlights to my birthday, but you will be able to compete, of course, with doing a presentation with you wonderful people. And honestly, great to be here. I said, myself and Colin are here really just to give you some hopefully useful information about Enterprise and just fill in some gaps about some things you maybe don't know about us already. But just to get started, a few very important things I always say. So only a very small amount about me. So Wizards, whiskey, and fantasy football are three very important things to me. So I am a recruitment wizard. I'm also a whiskey indulger and also a fantasy football geek. So a wizard, because everyone really who works in recruitment nowadays has a bit of a random job title. So I thought I might as well become a wizard. And also, historically, wizards are pretty cool if we think about it. Whiskey, because I live in Scotland, so it is liquid gold. People do actually say it comes out of the taps up here, so I can't really argue with that. And fantasy football, because if I'm honest, I just love a bit of data. I really geek out on data. I know it's probably a little bit sad and things, but that's just a little bit about me. And my claim to fame is that I finished within the top 0.1% of fantasy football globally last year, which had over 7.5 million players. So I was pretty proud of that.
Well, as a player myself, Graham, that is seriously impressive.
I'm not going to repeat it this year. I won't repeat it this year as well. So what do I do? My role at Enterprise is very straightforward. I help students and recent graduates obtain internships and the graduate schemes predominantly in operations management. Enterprise does have a number of opportunities, but predominantly in operations management in the transportation sector, as our brand is Enterprise Rent-A-Car, where we ultimately train and develop you to manage and run one of our businesses within 2 years. It's a really broad scheme. It covers customer service, sales, marketing, human resources, finance, and many other things as well, which Colin, I'm sure, is going to share a bit on in just a moment as well. But just to give you a kind of a broad flavor. But before we go on to that, I think it's really important for everyone joining the call to understand some of the reasons as to why, when you've applied for an internship maybe before or a graduate scheme, you may have been rejected or not even got as far as an interview. So I'm going to share with you the 4 kind of top reasons or how things get broken down as to why you may get rejected. So the first one, 14% of your applications are getting rejected because when you're applying to them, you're not able to show strong research on the company. So when we talk about research, everyone always says, oh, make sure you do your research before you apply for a job. And that's great, right? That's a very broad term. Do your research, like get fit and healthy, brilliant, but I actually need a plan to do this. So what we find is that a lot of people, when they are putting their applications in, are not showing specific knowledge and understanding related to the company or the field that they're going into. Now, do not fear, folks, because at the end of this presentation, I'm going to share with you a great little QR code, which you can scan in, and it's going to link you to a great PDF we put together, which is going to help you with your application and also includes a great 6-part research model of how to get past that and how to do really strong research, which is going to get you past that first hurdle. But yes, unfortunately, 14% of applications do get rejected because they don't show enough specific company research. And I know, Anthony, from someone who works in the career service, I'm sure this is a message that you have mentioned on many, many times. It's not going to be the first time you hear it. So the second one, 21% of your applications are getting rejected due to poor spelling and grammar. Now, when you apply to graduate jobs online or internships, they're going to go through a system called an ATS, which is short for an applicant tracking system. This is basically just a huge database of how we track and manage all your applications. As you can imagine, if you get 1,000 applications in one day for a job, you need to have a way to organize it. What you will find is when you are completing that information online, it's often not going to have any sort of spelling and grammar checks on there. We want to see, as graduate employers, how good you are when it comes to your language skills. Now, we live in a world, unfortunately, well, or fortunately, depending on which way you look at it, everything is checked for us. If we send a WhatsApp, it auto-corrects. If you're on Word or Microsoft Excel, anything, it always gets auto-corrected. And so actually, you have to be really careful of this. So what I would say is, if you have a friend or a relative who is what I call the grammar police, we all have one, you know, someone in that WhatsApp group who tells you if your spelling and grammar is poor, or in my case, it's my grandma who's an absolute stickler for details. Get them to check your application, because you don't want to be the person whose application gets rejected on that basis. Great example, just the other day, I was looking at a candidate's application. They spelt the word university wrong. Easy mistake to make, but you just got to think about those first impressions. I'm not saying it's the only reason why you might be getting rejected, but it's really something just to be mindful of as well, just because 21% is much more than you think. So please, please, please check your grammar. Please, please, please. It's so, so crucial. So, so crucial. Now, the biggest reason why you are getting rejected on your application is what we call in the recruitment game as a scattergun method. This is applying for every job under the sun, not really having a clear understanding of why you've applied for a position, and just applying for loads and loads of roles. Or, for example, you might be applying for one employer, apply for a general graduate scheme, an accountancy role, an HR position, every role going. And it's great that you have an interest in the company, but if you're just copy and pasting your applications from one company to the other, we're savvy to this as employers. We can see, and we see this often when people attach their CVs. For a great example would be our roles at Enterprise are very operations management. So if, for example, on the top of your CV, if you send us a CV, it says, I'm really passionate about a job as a like a product manager, or I just want to be a business analyst, that doesn't really link with the type of role that you may be applying for. And it's a real kind of telltale sign for us. So it falls under kind of job alignment and career alignment, which is something that we look at as well. So it's a whopping number. So 36% is a huge number of your applications which get rejected because applying for everything. And again, I'm sure Anthony and the team will not be advocating at university applying for literally every job. Of course, you need to apply for multiple, but don't apply for every job under the sun. Would you say that's accurate, Anthony?
100%. And just to add to the excellent advice that you've given, these applications take time. And if you're applying for everything, it means that you're applying for nothing really, because you haven't focused in on your research enough, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And final years just don't have time for that, you know.
Yes, absolutely. It's true. And you've got to think it's better. It's definitely the quality over quantity. You need to pick, a handful of applications, maybe I'd say 5, and make some really strong applications on there. And again, in the document I'll be able to share with you at the end, it's got some great tips on that. And then the final one, again, this really does kind of link back. It is quite a common sense based thing. But again, 29% of people are getting rejected because they don't meet the minimum qualifications and experience. Now, a lot of graduate companies are really open in terms of what skills and experience we look for, but some are really specific. Again, I know there's quite a lot of you from the accounting and finance field on the call. What I would say is that some companies will be very specific and say you must have an accounting and finance degree, whereas others aren't. Or some will say you have to have a certain grade. You might have to have a 2-1, for example, or certain A levels. If my advice is this, if you don't meet the criteria, and it will say on the job advert, it's often at the bottom, reach out to a recruiter on LinkedIn and get that information, because there's nothing worse than spending 4 hours putting a job application together only to be auto rejected because you just don't meet the base level criteria. So I think that is really, really important. But what I would say is there are many employers out there, including enterprise, who are very open to degrees. So my first question for my wonderful associate Colin, who actually just thought he was joining just to listen in, but I'm going to get him involved because that's the joy of being a presenter, right? So my first question is to you, Colin, is at enterprise, do we accept people with degrees which aren't just business? Because we are typically a business orientated role, but do we accept people with degrees which aren't just pure business?
Yeah, 100%. I think some of our greatest and brightest are people from non-business degrees. Because really for us, we want people with life experience, not necessarily work experience, but life experience. And it's really just the fact of doing a degree is important with that. But yeah, I think if I think back to my area manager days, I think my most successful branch manager, who is still one of the most successful branch managers, had actually a clinical science degree, which wasn't really related to the rental of vehicles and providing excellent customer service, but they're probably one of the more successful managers that we've got.
And so what you're ultimately saying, Colin, is you're not defined by your degree, right? And I think that's a really important piece, because don't get me wrong, many of you on the call may be studying business or accounting or finance or something else, but that's not going to define you or where you go. Absolutely. And we'll come on to that in just a moment. So again, many of you are very familiar with enterprise. We tend to be everywhere. We have over 400 locations, almost 450 plus across kind of the UK and Ireland now. But just to give you a very quick snapshot of our business, there's a great slide that I'm just going to pop across now, which shows you here. Now, there is a lot going on this slide, so I'm going to very much simplify it. But enterprise exists as a business to ultimately help people or goods, whether it's for business or pleasure, and whether you need a vehicle for an hour, a day, a week, a month, or a year, move from A to B to C. And the way that we do that is by having the most comprehensive suite of vehicles across the globe. We have a fleet of almost 2 million vehicles across the globe. And that is everything from a small little car that you may need to go to the supermarket or grocery store, to the fun cars like the Bentley Continentals or the Lamborghinis, to refrigerated huge lorries and everything in between, and all the weird and wonderful things. Great example of a new type of vehicle that we rent and lease out is, when you're at the airport and you're sitting on the plane and there's all those weird vehicles going on the runway, which have about 20 wheels, various cranes and everything going out. Well, you wouldn't be able to describe what it is, but we actually provide and supply those as well, now don't we, Colin? So it's a real comprehensive suite of vehicles. Oh, have we lost Colin? Maybe he looks like he's frozen. Anyway, there we go. Oh, no, you're back.
I'm back. Yes, no, we do. We supply quite a range. Anything with an engine and 4 wheels, we kind of supply.
Absolutely. So just a little bit in terms of our business, we started in 1957. We're still here today, which we're very proud of, and we have absolutely thrived. I think for us, and one thing that really keeps many, many people at enterprise is the culture. It's really hard. If you ask anyone in any kind of recruitment job, tell me about the culture in your company, I could probably speak to you about an hour on this. So what I'm going to do is, instead of doing that, because Anthony hasn't given me an hour and you wouldn't want me speaking for an hour, is I'm just going to show this next slide. This to me is a great slide, which just kind of really encompasses what enterprise is. You've got our main bear in the front, Pudsey. So charity and philanthropy is very, very important to us. We've got some great members of our team in the Scotland region with the shovels as part of our 50 million tree pledge. You've got our employees supporting enterprise. We call it Enterpride, which is whoever came up with that one, clever name as well. So lots of pride initiatives we support as well, and us as well at some certain award ceremonies as well as supporting International Women's Day. And I think the great thing for me is that enterprise is a very inclusive employer, and it doesn't matter where you're from, what you studied, where you went to university, where you grew up, what your orientation is. At us at Enterprise, we are open to everyone who comes into the business, and it's part of one of our founding values that I'll come on to. But it is really important, and I think a lot of companies do talk about it a lot, but we actually really put that into practice. And I think this is a great slide which really just sums that up. So, Colin, are you able to share from your time when you've been an area manager in Ireland and Northern Ireland as well, anything that you did within kind of the local community, which kind of really shares a little bit on the kind of culture and values at Enterprise?
Yeah, I'm actually participating with a company on Saturday, actually, we're doing a trek for Aware NI, it's called. So it's a local charity that deals with depression and suicidal support. So it's actually World Mental Health Day on Sunday. So we're going to be doing a trek on Saturday. And I think it's quite important as well to kind of note that not only am I sort of working with them, so we do a little bit of mental health first aid with them, but also from obviously raising money, and also from a company point of view. I think the biggest value we offer as a company is the fact that we actually care about the charity and trying to, we do their company cars for them, and we use a lot of our technology to make their business a little bit better. So I think that's just the ethos of the company. It's just we get days off a year to help out with charity work and to give back. We have a foundation request where we can actually request funds. So I got £1,500 for Aware for this actual trek. So it's quite nice. It's quite nice that everybody gets involved as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's just kind of a very quick overview of some of our global philanthropic initiatives. I'd just like to say that I'm kind of pleased that I've managed to say that word twice in this presentation correctly, because it's not the easiest one to say. I've definitely stumbled on that one before. And of course, there's loads more information. Auntie's put a really nice link into the chat as well, which is just going to show you a little bit more about our D&I initiatives. And again, it's something that I'd love to talk to you more about, but because we're on a very tight schedule, must press on and talk to you more about some of the career side of things as well. So, as I mentioned at Enterprise, we began in 1957. We've come a huge way since then. As an organization now, having a global turnover of 22.5 billion US dollars, that doesn't even really make sense to me as a number. I wouldn't even want to know how many. I always look at things in terms of penny sweets, because growing up, I always felt rich as a kid when my parents would give me £2 and I knew I could get 200 penny sweets. Probably not the case anymore. I guess the whole point is we're a global company and we're quite well hidden. You may see the vans around, but we've got a much bigger global footprint than you think. Over 80,000 employees, huge fleet of vehicles, and there's something again we can talk about in more detail another time about what's going on with the vehicle industry at the moment. But we're in over 9,000 locations across the globe. So if you're looking to start an internship or a career in Ireland, we've got loads of locations in Ireland in all sorts of weird and wonderful places that you wouldn't think that you could maybe start a graduate career. But there's lots of different locations. Colin, you are definitely better than me in terms of some of the locations we've got in Ireland. I know recently I just recruited someone who started in Sligo, which is, I definitely had to do a little bit more research in that area. And as far as I know, our coverage in Ireland is very, very broad because obviously our business services. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, 100%. We've got numerous branches. I think Dublin has 5 or 6. So yeah,
5 or 6, and then of course pretty much anywhere that you want to start a career in Ireland or Scotland or Northern Ireland or the whole of the UK, we've got you covered. And the interesting stat is that 90% of the UK population live within 10 miles or less of an Enterprise branch. So there's a nice interesting stat as well. And it just gives you that option, right? A lot of companies, when you apply for the graduate program, will say, here's the graduate program. You have to be based in Dublin, or you have to be based in Belfast, or you have to be based in London. We don't say that Enterprise. We give you the option and say, where do you want to be after university? That's where you can start your career. And then we go from there. It's a promote from within culture. So where you start is definitely not where you finish. So Colin, I love the fact of having you on a call because you're just perfect to relate to. Where have your travels at Enterprise taken you?
Yeah, well, I've been here just touching 16 years in January. So yeah, it started in Northern Ireland, and then I became branch manager level. Took an opportunity in Edinburgh Airport, so moved there for a year, moved the family across. Then after that, actually back to Northern Ireland again to open up a brand new location in Belfast. It was a flagship branch. Then another opportunity came up in Stirling, so it's a real sort of Northern Ireland to Scotland sort of scenario here. But that just happened to be the opportunities that came up, and the ones that I wanted to go to sort of further my career. So I was over there for a year, and then again back here to be area manager. And I think that's the thing. It's with our company, we kind of want our leaders to have traveled, and more so for the sense that our customers have so many different cultures. We want our employees to deal with quite a lot of different cultures and quite a lot of different types of customers. And I think we're spoilt in Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland in the sense that everybody's just so nice to each other, and we kind of get on so well with each other, whereas other places it's a little bit more challenging. So yeah, it's quite nice. It's quite nice that there's just opportunities everywhere. Like every day we get a job posted somewhere else, and that is a job that we can all apply for.
Yeah. I know no one forces you to move, but the options are there. The best example, our current CEO, Chrissy Taylor, is third generation, but she joined as an intern and worked her way all the way up to the top of the company. And our former CEO, Pamela Nicholson, started on the graduate program and went all the way up to become CEO of the entire business. So it just shows you that there's great opportunity. And I think if people say to us, what's the number one reason you should join enterprise, it's opportunity. It really is. I've never worked or come into contact with any company that has the amount of opportunity, because it is a promote from within culture. Everyone starts at the graduate or intern level and works the way up, unless it's a highly specialized position in sort of our legal team. But we talked about this already. Again, can't go through all of these in detail, but our business, we are driven by 8 core values. Our doors are open, are absolutely critical to us, and I've talked about that. And Colin's already talked about the customer service piece as well, and as well as the fact that we work within kind of those local neighborhoods as well. And yeah, we're a hardworking organization, but the rewards are there, which I'm going to come on to in just a moment. Again, more information on this. Of course, you want to know about the application process, because this could be you in the process very soon. There is one great thing missing from our application process compared to pretty much every other company who are in the Times top 100 employers. We do not, and I'm going to say this very firmly, we do not do assessment centers. I'm yet to meet, I've met students who don't mind assessment centers, but generally speaking, students on the whole, if you gave them the option as do an assessment center or don't do an assessment center, well over 90% will say they wouldn't want to do one. So you'll be pleased to know that we're a very hands-on company. So it's a nice quick online application form, which will take you 15 minutes tops. You'll then do a virtual interview with someone like Colin, myself, another member of our team. You then do a final stage, which is a try before you buy, half a day within the business to really learn what it's like to be a graduate enterprise, meet an area manager who would really be your area manager when you start, and really see if the job's for you. And then we get you on our online induction, provided you pass that. So it's a quick process. We typically get people through within 2 weeks. I personally hate employers who leave people for months upon end waiting in not knowing what's going on. I promise you, you will actually speak to humans. It won't be robots. And we always aim to get people through our recruitment process in a couple of weeks, a month max, just depending on your schedule. So it is quick. We promise you that. And in terms of the job, so we just want to give you a very quick rundown of the job itself, the main opportunity at enterprise, and why this fits so many people. So the main opportunity is our graduate training program. The whole point of this program is to take you from being a brand new employee to be able to become an assistant store manager within just over a year and a store manager in 2 years. We are going to train you on all aspects of how to run a successful business. You'll be doing everything from dealing with customers to making sales, to going out on sales calls, to looking at logistics plans, to understanding how the finance of the business works. I know there's lots of people from finance on the call here. We love people at Enterprise who've got finance degrees, because you understand the numbers side of the business so well. I would not be here today without one of my great assistant managers who was an absolute whiz at finance, because I'm going to hold my hand out here, Anthony, and say I was terrible at finance at university. But it's all about having that blended mix of skills. You get mentors assigned to you from day one. It's a great fun place to be. It's for people who want to become a leader, want to run and see themselves as someone that would like to have some ownership in the business, but still work for a massive company. So if you think you're maybe a little bit entrepreneurial, someone said to you, oh, I think you can make a great leader in the future, or you've got leadership potential, we would love to hear from you, because at Enterprise, we are all about the growth and the development of our people. What would you say, Colin, in terms of how you would kind of summarize the graduate program as someone that's been an area manager and obviously have seen many, probably hundreds of people rise up through the ranks right under your leadership?
Yeah, I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there at the end. It's kind of those people who want to run their own business, but with someone else's money. And I think for me, that was the situation I was in when I graduated university here in Belfast, and I had these sort of aspirations to run my own business, but knew I really couldn't afford to start it up. What really appealed to me about enterprise was the promote from within. So I knew that if I showed loyalty to the company, then I'd be rewarded from that and be given sort of opportunities as and when I went up through. And I think that's the thing. I think our most talented people don't necessarily have previous management experience, but they've got previous people experience. So they're real people. And so that's people. So they're and that's because of obviously it's very important to be providing excellent service to our customers, but it's also very important that we look after each other. And I think that's what makes our leaders successful. It's the fact that they look after each other, and the company really looks after us as well in that regard. And we'd mentioned before there, not to go on about it, but we'd mentioned before there about relocations and taking opportunities in other places. When I moved over to Scotland the first time, I was very nervous about it. Like, it's the first time I'd ever, apart from university, the first time I'd ever sold a house and bought another one, and Enterprise supported me through that mentally, and they made sure that I had someone to contact over there, and they, from a financial point of view, they helped. And I think that summarizes the company. They're just there to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it's not free. Of course, you get paid in your first year. So in terms of, if you're looking at Public of Ireland, starting salary of €25,000 or 25.5 for Dublin, just with that extra cost of living. But in your first year, if you perform as an employee, you should be making around kind of €28,000 your first year. And then assistant store managers, our top performing assistant managers, will be making closer to €40,000, in just over a year. And, top performing branch managers will be making over kind of €50,000 upwards. And area managers, longer term, when you're best in class, Colin's very humble, but he actually won an award for being our top performing area manager in the whole of Europe, because of the culture and the way he performed the business. Many of them are making over kind of six figures. So I just want to stress, it's not just about the money side of things, but the whole point is, if you want a career and you want to take some risk in terms of being more entrepreneurial, you need to be able to share in the rewards along the way as well. It's a great place to work. It's, whether you've worked in a supermarket, or you've maybe done charity work, or maybe you're a leader of a sports team, we don't look for, there's not one we look for. We look for people with broad different experience, but just those who have an interest in becoming a manager and a leader overall. So very quickly, just to wrap up, we assess you amongst these 6 things. So if you're looking at this slide and saying, do you know what, Graham and Colin, I've got a little bit of customer service, I think I can speak with people have said to me, I'm not afraid of working hard and I can juggle some tasks, and I see myself as a leader, absolutely Enterprise could be a great spot for you. How you can stay in contact with us after this event is very straightforward. All you have to do is, on the screen in front of you is a very nice QR code, which keeps it really straightforward. By scanning this QR code and just popping in a little bit of information, you will get the following. Number 1, you are entered into our new student competition to win £50 worth of high street vouchers. So you might as well do it just for the sake of being able to win £50 worth of vouchers for a chain of your choice, right? There's no harm in that. You'll also get the content, of course, from today, but also you'll get a great PDF, which gives you some really nice hot tips on how to really make your application stand out in the future. Loads of great little nuggets there. You're also going to find out about the great opportunities that we have, as well as all the other exclusive events that we're going to be running with DKIT going forward. So you'll be in our database there as well. It's going to put you at the front of the queue for all things going forward. So for the sake of 30 seconds, we really recommend it, as this is how we're going to stay in contact with you going forward. I know we had a very set period of time, so Anthony, that is us.
No, look, guys, absolutely brilliant presentation. Brilliant. You covered everything. There's numbers of questions. We're stuck on time. We're going to be welcoming Colin back, of course, tomorrow. So I've seen there's people registered already again for that on the back of this. In relation to the QR code, This is going to be available on demand to students as well, who either didn't manage to get it because they were in class or whatever. So, and there's probably students in class now watching this on the big screen saying, I can't scan the code. So go back to the registration page, and this will be up and available to students to scan that code. And there's probably great stuff in there going by the presentation. So happy birthday, Graham.
Thank you very much.
Colin, thanks for your input, and we look forward to speaking to you
Welcome.
tomorrow.
Yes.
And I'll hold any questions that we have, because we're right in the money now at 1. It was perfectly timed. I'll hold any questions for you, Colin, tomorrow, if that's okay.
Of course, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, people just saying thanks a million, and I'm not surprised. It was a fantastic presentation. Really good stuff in there, and Graham being very unselfish about being honest about the application process with a lot of large organizations, which I think students should take a lot from, you know. So thanks a million again. Colin, we'll see you tomorrow. Graham, you can open the champagne now.
I wish. Still more work to do, but great to see you all, folks, and thanks ever so much for tuning in. Looking forward to staying connected, and of course, we're both on LinkedIn, so you can find us on LinkedIn.
Find and we'll put those links up as well.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, guys.
Anthony.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye.